Hello and welcome to Robin's TV Extra Time. Today's assignment, arguably the toughest of the lot this season, away at Turf Moor. They've had 26 clean sheets so far this season, have Burnley and Bristol City head on the road to try and keep their 7-game unbeaten run intact. Unfortunately, it was mission impossible in the end. They went down by 1-0 to Scott Parker's men, but Liam Manning's men will hopefully hold their heads high as they go into a couple of key fixtures now in the run-in. 7 games left. In the studio to dissect all the action from today's game alongside me is Leroy Rosenior and Lewis Carey. Leroy, if I can start with you. It was back to the wall stuff throughout the 90 minutes of Bristol City. Such a dominant Burnley display. And as you said earlier on in the show, they were pretty inefficient in front of goal, which probably let Bristol City off. Yeah,
that's what caused the anxiety towards the end of the game. And, you know, City could never find a way to get a foothold in the game. And, you know, when you're playing in these games, you have to take your moments, and they never even found those moments. You know, those opportunities to think, oh yeah, we're in this game, and to just give them some hope and some momentum. And that was down to the performance of Burnley. You know, really well organised side, and really well coached, and you have to give Scott Parker a lot of credit.
And Lewis, looking at these stats, it doesn't make for particularly easy reading for Bristol City in terms of shots and shots on target. I guess that really tells the story, especially expected goals there.
Yeah, it's interesting, the expected goals. I think we were talking off air, weren't we, that Hirokawa's shot in the Latin injury time, you know, boosted it up a little bit. But yeah, I'm interested with the jaws. One, interesting enough, because I thought that was one of Bristol City's downfalls today, is that they were way too easy to play against. You know, it wasn't for like a lack of effort or commitment, anything like that. But when it come to aggression in 1v1 jaws, I didn't really feel like there was much there today. Even the fouls is quite low considering they had so many ball carriers. But yeah, the expected goals, there was nowhere near enough chances sort of created, whether that was because of combination play, runs in behind, quality of football, you know, shots from distance, whatever it was, it just wasn't there today. But I agree with Leroy's comment there. For me, I thought it was a joy to watch Burnley, and they're the best I've seen this season, you know, in the sort of Robin's TV studio. So they were really impressive and you know, great to watch.
I was just going to say, what disappointed me about those stats was only 2 offsides for Bristol City. When you're playing against a side who are so compact and they've got pace up front. I know, look, Egan really and Esteve Grick, two fantastic centre-halves. There were 2 moments in the game where you felt, well, City got in. It was the first half, which we'll look at when Mehmeti tried to get in, the second half when Nahki Wells ran in behind. There's only 2 times I can remember them playing in behind but down the centre of the pitch. You know, because, you know, Lewis as a centre-half, and we were talking about, you know, Sinclair Armstrong running down the side, that's where centre-halves want, because you're just pushing them away from goal. But in the central areas, there were never any runs in behind, and only 2 offsides in a game. I'd rather they risk the ball, you know, try and make the run, try and get the timing right, risk the ball going forward, and the referee put his flag up. I think Hirokawa was flagged offside, and I don't think he was offside towards the end of the game. But he made the run, the ball came, and City almost got in, and that would be a disappointing stat for me.
Yeah, well, let's review some of the key themes from the afternoon. Bristol City made a pretty plucky start, but Burnley typically soaked up the pressure early on. You thought maybe it might be a bit more of an even encounter at this point.
Yeah, look, this was the key. Look out there, they've got everybody behind the ball, and this was the pass that was going to unlock the door. Max Bird looking forward, and then the run from Mehmeti. It's a straight run and angled, straight ball, an angled run. And he almost gets in. I just wondered if he could have ended up on the ground, but it just gets away from him. But that was a threat, you know, because, you know, Burnley, they using the 18-yard line as a guide for them to hold their line. And that little bit of space in behind had to be a clever little ball. But this was the kind of story of the second half. You just look at now, you see like Sykes is trying to make that run in behind, but not one other Bristol City player is looking forward. Sinclair Armstrong is actually, he'll think he's in an offside position. You'll look at Twine and Mehmeti, they're not in positions where they can get the ball. And in that still, there should be players in front of Jason Knight, all available, and there isn't one player who is available for the pass. And in the end, people were saying, why didn't they play forward? And that was a reason, Lewis.
Yeah, I was going to say then, even where Knight, when we had it paused at the start, I think that's where the centre-half should be on the ball. And then the 6s on the next level, and then Twine and Mehmeti on the next level. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then you can have opposite movements with Armstrong. Like, for me, this clip here summed up the first half. It was from these positions. That is, like, you're never going to get an on goal when, like Leroy said, there's a centre half here, I'm just going to shepherd my man towards the biggest defender on the pitch, which is the touchline. And it's like, it's easy to defend. Whereas the Bird situation, playing it on the inside shoulder of a fullback, and from further up the pitch, little chip passes, it causes problems, and it was probably once or twice today, and that was it.
Burnley started moving through the gears just before the goal. We've got the foul here, plus the goal. I mean, we'll see the goal in a second, Lewis. Do you think Max O'Leary could have done better in the Bristol City goal? You were obviously on commentary and you saw it in real time.
Well, interesting enough, when on commentary, I was looking at whether it would be a left footer to take it, because I thought he was giving up a lot of his right-hand side. First off, this what happened all day when I said about the aggression is that the two wide men in the 9, anytime they come off the play and received in those little zones or in wide areas, their ball control, protection of the ball, and then getting that little left foot across look to take the knock was excellent throughout the whole game. But if you look, Max Bird's in line with the penalty spot, and his right foot's this side of it, so he's giving up that side, the wall side. However, I think Leroy touched on, when you get two hands on it, I think one, and a strong one hand, I think that he pushes that round the post.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's just that at the end, I was thinking about his feet. Did he get across quick enough? And then when you look at it from this angle, he does actually get across, and he gets fingertips to it, but both hands. And you're thinking, one hand extends up an extra distance to make the save. So maybe just in the last instant, a poor decision from Max.
And then it was an onslaught there from Burnley for the remainder of the first half. We were talking off there. Soul destroying if you're a defender working so hard. And then Bristol City just didn't really have the quality when they did eventually get the ball forward. But it was a really dominant Burnley display.
Well, firstly, and you said soul destroying. The defenders like suffering. They like defending. Let's be honest. And when you're in this situation, and they're missing opportunities like this, you know what? Actually, it gives you encouragement. Yeah, I know it sounds really strange. Look, it's a great opportunity, Jayden Anderson and Marcus Esford puts them in a great position. But when you keep missing opportunities like this, you think, there's something in the air here. Something's gonna happen for us. So we'll keep digging in, And that's what City did. They kept digging in. You found it difficult. I think they were gasping for air. You couldn't get tight to people. Josh Brownhill's allowed to just look up and just pick whatever pass he wants, and that's not good enough, in terms of pressing the ball. It was a foul in the end. But that was, I think, because Burnley just kept the ball so well and had City chasing all the time. But Lewis made a really good point in that first half about the work of the front players. Too often their front players were kind of watching the game, whereas you saw Burnley's players pressing from behind. This one, again, Rob Dickie just backs off. He thinks that Pringy's going to win the duel. He doesn't, and he's left himself in absolutely no man's position. He needs to get across, and need to go 2v1 against Fleming and deal with it, but they didn't, and Anthony again misses another chance. But the work of the front players for Burnley going back, I thought was really impressive today, Lewis. Yeah,
because when you play against a team who make loads and loads of short passes, it burns your legs, right? So it is hard work. I appreciate that. But anytime the ball went wide to Anthony or to Edwards, they were allowed to put their studs on the ball and then run around the ball and front us up and defend. Whereas any time that happened our way to Twine or to Mehmeti, someone would come back and take the ball off their toes, which is the hardest, defensive organisation to play against. And again, short passes, they give it away. Burnley, they could counter press really well.
Yeah.
They were just, I thought, if I'm being brutally honest, I think the coaching staff and players have done amazing to be in the position they're in at Bristol City. With 8 games left to be in the chance of making the top 6. However, today's game, the goal for 24 points, I thought it showed up in many areas of the pitch.
Absolutely. Well, one player that we did sort of pick out, somebody that impressed, and we heard from him ahead of kickoff, was Rob Dickie. Again, backs to the wall stuff from him today, but he dug in. It does lead the line, and we haven't conceded a goal from open play today. There's something in that, isn't there? And defensively, he did look very strong.
Yeah, they were outstanding again. He wanted to make things happen on the ball, but it wasn't quite enough happening ahead of him. However, the back three, whenever I've seen it this season, they haven't conceded loads of goals. He takes this with the left foot. That is the right foot to take it with to get hit. If he takes it with his right foot, he gets off balance and he gets knocked. But his ability to read the game and intercepting the ball is a real art. And the ability to see where someone's eyes are and to see where runners are and to see whether someone's further away from the ball and they're going to make a long strike is is a great skill to have, and he's brilliant at it. And I think if Rob Dickie wasn't in the team today, it could have been, it could have been a lot more.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he was terrific defensively. He kept City in the game, and this is just a big part of defending. Just reading the block, getting in positions just to make that last ditch interception, which he did on numerous occasions.
And Zach Viner alongside him had to dig in as well. Like I said, it feels as though from a defensive perspective, that was the real positive today for City.
Well, you look at it, I don't think they could have done any more against a really good Burnley side. I know they missed opportunities, but that's down to Burnley's lack of quality in that. Or Jadon Anthony's, let's be honest, his lack of quality. But the back line kept City in the game. But then from that, and I thought it was difficult for them because when they got the ball, we showed from those earlier clips, they didn't have a lot going on up top. You made again another really good point. You're making loads of good points today, Liz. But about the starting positions of Twine and Mehmeti when you're playing against a compact side, they were cutting off those pathways, those lines of passes, so they could never get them into them. But then the two wing backs won't get high and wide enough early enough. Because they were defending, so it was such a big distance. When they're defending for their lives, they're getting on the ball, linking a couple of passes, then it took time for the likes of Sykes and Roberts to get into those high positions to threaten her. And when you're playing against a back four, what you need to do is get that five in the line. You get good possession, you have the two wing backs as high as you can, you read it, and then you'd have Armstrong. And then you create the space for Twine and Mehmeti in those spaces. But they never got into those situations where they got good enough possessions to get in that situation, which Liam likes. He likes in possession to be 3-2-5.
Yeah, so again, the point's being, isn't it? If you play and you get the five across the, on the highest line, you have to move the ball quickly. You have to separate that, block that's in front of you, and that is either changing the side really quickly, and then as they come out full-back, you then make the little inside channel runs. You have to look for 1v1 players like Hirakawa late on, or you have to have opposite movements in deep runs. And I just didn't think there was any of that today to cause a stubborn, well-organised Burnley team that have only conceded 11 goals. I didn't think there was any threat for them today.
Yeah, and I know we're managing. You mentioned Hirakawa there. Hirakawa's load in terms of the amount of games and minutes he's playing this season. Again, there's just little touches and glimpses where you see a real bit of quality, and then of course he has this chance late in the day. My heart rate picked up. Thought this was the big moment. Smash and grab opportunity for City. Do you think he could have done better? This is our own shot on target, Leroy.
Yeah, I mean the reason why the shot was so poor was just his first touch. Yeah, and it usually is. He gets in a great position, centre goal. His first touch, he has to settle it down again. And then he has to almost dig it out from behind him. If he gets that first touch right, then he can get his head up and stick it in whatever corner he wants. Because he gets the first touch wrong, his head's still down and he's concentrating on his second touch to get the third touch in. And by the end of that, he's just snatching at the shot. So just his first touch let him down.
Nothing for City today, but results went in their favour, really. Middlesbrough have given themselves a fighting chance now by overtaking City in the Championship table. Things have tightened up even further. Of course, Coventry losing to Sheffield United last night. Norwich beating West Brom at the death. Middlesbrough scraped past Oxford. We touched on it in the show on Robins TV. If City can overcome Watford next weekend, that really separates out the race then with the kind of mid-table pack, if you like, Lewis.
Oh, most definitely. I think Blackburn, unfortunately for them, have totally blown up in the same with West Brom. I think. Yeah, you beat Watford on Tuesday. That's them out of the way. Also because of Watford's goal difference, and then it is down to the four teams. Like I said, it is an interesting one because I would have thought West Brom and Middlesbrough would have ran away with it. That's just a personal thing. Looking at their quality of their squads, the depth that they have. I also really like the Coventry squad. So, like I said a minute ago, I think the coaching staff have done an unbelievable job, and the players have done an unbelievable job to be at this stage of the season in with the chance of making the playoffs. Yeah,
and look at West Brom. They concede late on against Norwich, and really nervous. Coventry, get beat 3-1 by Sheffield United. It was comfortable, by the way. Sheffield United, Middlesbrough, they're so inconsistent with all the money that they spent. They snuck over the line against Oxford, but they're more than capable of losing games. It's really exciting. And what City are, they're consistent in what they do under Liam Manning. Really consistent. The players believe in it. They trust it. They couldn't really put it into practice today, and they weren't allowed to. By the way, loads of sides haven't been allowed to against Burnley this season. It's no shame because Burnley, as you said, 27 clean sheets now, and they're a really good side. And you're looking at the side. I think out of the top three, I think I've been more impressed with Burnley than Leeds and Sheffield United. I think maybe Leeds and Sheffield United have a couple of better individuals, but as a team, I think Burnley look like the best team and best organised and coached team I've seen in this championship this season.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Been fascinating listening to you both. That is it then from us on Robins TV Extra Time. Not to be for Bristol City today at Turf Moor, but of course now we turn our attention with 7 games to go to those 2 home fixtures. First up, Watford at the gate on Saturday, and then of course that's followed up quite quickly as the Baggies come to town. Can Bristol City get back to winning ways? We know their home form is impressive, all still to play for. We'll see you next time.